Welcome to Mastering Life's Adventures, an educational podcast about tapping into your true self, the soul, your soul, the substance of your life, to discover what life's ups and downs are really about, and how to have a greater sense of purpose, peace, joy, and fulfillment. I am Dr. Judith Holder, your host, coach psychologist, fellow seeker who enjoys diving into the connections between spirituality, psychology, wellness, and your everyday life's adventures. All preparing and polishing you like the facets of a magnificent diamond to be your best self. If you're craving more from your life, you are in the right place. Come, let's journey together and transforming what you know into who you really are. Mastering Life's Adventures begins now.
Hi, I'm back with another episode with a special guest. Karen has been with us before. You can look at her bio. She's got to briefly say a little bit about herself, and then we're going to dive right on in. But today, we're doing a deep dive series. This was my guest. I'm diving deeper into questions. So you might have had questions, and we had some responses to. So our question today that we're going to do a deep dive in is how to engage the right and left brain activities to ignite joy. And I think joy is something that every one of us wants more of. And if we can find activities or things that we can do that ignites that joy, it's not only joy for the outer self, but it's joy for the inner self. And that inner self is our soul. And we're realizing the soul gives us energy to be able to do those creative activities as well. So Karen, why don't you just kind of say who you are and let's dive right on in.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm an artist, art teacher, art author, and a creativity specialist. I became engaged in this because of seeing how the arts bring healing to students of all ages and in all situations, wanting to investigate, even though I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but just understanding how our brain works and how it works and how our emotions work in connection with creative activities. I come from a very creative family, long had activities that give us joy. And that's the thing that I think we can all use more of, helping us get out of depression or anxiety or even feelings of loneliness because of the disconnect our culture has been engaged in for the last few years, especially. We're all engaged in our devices, and it's not necessarily fulfilling us and giving us that sense of being known and knowing. And so this is something that Dr. Judith and I wanted to talk about today.
One of the things about the way in which we're raised in our families is that we're raised in our families to be more left-brained. And that means engaging in the day-to-day activities, making sure we're meeting the demands, making sure that we're hitting the goals that we want to hit, making sure we're clear about our short-term and long-term goals, all things that are engaged in the left brain activities. And somehow we miss the dynamicness of not only the right brain, but also the soul's awareness that it wants the whole brain. It wants all of you to operate. Some thoughts about that?
Absolutely. We thank God for our logic and analytical side. It's a side that we can study and learn and get facts from. They're wonderful. But I think, as you're describing, it's not just in our families, but also in our school systems, the kind of a dearth of activities that are more right brain oriented, things that we grew up knowing how to do and expecting. Playground play, how important play is for children, and music, dance, storytelling, and arts. These are things that a lot of schools don't engage in anymore, maybe not until they're in high school. The children almost don't know how to play, how to have fun doing creative activities unless they do it at home. And there's so many ways, and we want to talk about how to do this and how much it improves our very being. It connects us to our intuitive, imaginative, inventive selves. And we want whole brain activity to bring us that kind of fulfillment.
We certainly do. And I think you're right that in many ways, we're always on the go, even from childhood to adulthood. We're always on the go with doing something. And one of the things you talked about was the opportunity to be more settled and realize that through creativity and through arts, it makes us more stable. It stabilizes us in many ways because it opens the heart. It allows us to be creative in a heartfelt way that helps to evolve the soul. And because the soul wants a connection to us as well. So doing those creative activities with self or others, there's a little bit more quietness and not the noisiness or the busyness of the world or the busyness of the world.
And I think it's been trivialized. We kind of elevate the intellectual part of our minds and our population and even ourselves. We may neglect because we don't think we have time to engage in both left brain, right brain activities when it absolutely is essential. We've seen a rise in anxiety at younger and younger ages. And I really believe that these kind of activities, and we'll talk about more of these activities, get more specific with you. We've been doing that a little bit with our series, give you more ideas of how to engage your own family, your children, and in these activities that literally reduce anxiety and stress levels to enable you to experience that deep joy, that deep sense of, wow, that was fun. We had a good time. We connected. We got to share. And it's really life changing if you make that part of your lifestyle and part of the lifestyle of your family to engage in fun things to do. Things as simple as we used to do puzzles. I mean, when's the last time you did a puzzle with your family or your children, or just said, let's sit down and do a puzzle? I know my children remember their grandpa when we would visit them. They always had a dining room table where we laid out a plan. Part of the activity we did when we were there is we all sat around finding pieces of the puzzle. Seems so simple, but it's almost like we do these digital puzzles alone with just our devices, whether they're mental puzzles or literal puzzles. We do them digital on our devices, and we're not engaging in that extra joy of doing it with someone.
There's some type of chemistry that happens when we're around other people. And the talking that goes on and the care that takes place doing a puzzle or another activities which we'll be talking about. And I think that connection is what the soul is wanting. Just as there's so much distractions out there that we've talked about before, the soul gets lost. We get lost in a sense of wanting something more, but not realizing that more is a connection to our own inner self and our connection to other people. And the combination of both. And that's what right brain and left brain does. You connect to yourself and you connect to others, but it's at a genuine level. And it's a level of concern and love and wanting the best for each other. Doing a puzzle also activates the left and right brain. Not only the tactile things that you're doing with the fingers and the hand, but also engagement in the conversations that help to ignite the heart and the care and the joy and the laughter and the humor that comes out.
It's true, and there's no age limit. We are now at the point in our life we have young grandchildren, and it reminds you to go to the playground, to take walks, to do more activities when you have these little ones around. You forget how much fun it is just to get out, hear the bird, have the stroll. We've talked about that before. Children having the opportunity to be around little ones and color with them. My 93-year-old mother was given adult coloring books, and she didn't like it. It was too much detail, too little any spaces. It didn't bring her any joy. She ended up not doing it. But with her great-grandchildren sitting at the table, she loved coloring in the line and shadings because the spaces were bigger, and the girls were enjoying their great-grandmother doing coloring with them. So don't be afraid to get dirty or pull out those watercolors and paper and just have fun with little ones. It's a great opportunity. We talked a bit about cooking or engaging. That is a gift you can give. Let's say you know a neighbor that maybe is alone and you can bring them some baked goods that you did. Wow, what a gift. It used to be more common. Every time you moved into a neighborhood, you'd be inundated with people giving you baked goods or casserole and say, welcome to the neighborhood. And we don't hardly know how to do that anymore. These things have created a loneliness in our culture, and especially these last few years where we really need to learn how to reconnect. And you remember what did bring you joy? What did you enjoy doing? You stopped doing, for one reason or another. Do it again. At Christmas time, I use my grandmother's old cookie recipe. And I make dozens of cookies and send them out to neighbors and the postman. I have handmade things I do and give my postman. It's Not as easy as just giving a tip or a financial gift, and people appreciate that too, but there's something about when you do something personal, that you give part of your soul and your love, the your TLC that you put into baking or creating something or make a card. We have family far away, and that's something that we make a point of doing, having something that they'll get in the mail from us. One of my children's favorite things that about their growing up, and you don't realize that when you're raising your family, how much of an impact this is gonna be have. But my husband, who loves to tell stories, would make up stories to send them to bed. And of course, they were the stars of the stories. He'll talk about that. Our sons are in their 40s and they still talk about, and they became storytellers and songwriters. And it is something you can pass on, or you can bake with your family, bake with your grands or with others. And these are easy. These are not hard things. These are things that we can engage in, that we don't even realize what kind of beautiful work is going on in our brain and in our soul when we engage in these activities.
This is a set that where you have other individuals or invite people from the neighborhood that you've seen, you've said hi to frequently, but you've not engaged with them in any way. And you can have a conversation, say, do you want to do blah, blah together? As a way to engage and learn about the people in your community, but also as a way that you start to realize as you're talking to the person or you're baking something, or if you're doing a hobby together, that you have mutual interests around, or if you're running together, you realize the conversations that come from that is really joyful. It's igniting you to learn more about yourself and others as well. I think that's what creativity allows us to do. We learn certain pockets of ourselves that we didn't know. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. And it was like, yeah, yeah, I was able to do that. Wow, that's really great. That's what the soul essence of how you want us to do is to explore and to learn and grow. So you can be able to say, I never thought it that way. Because you heard it from someone else. You tried it, be it making a recipe, or you tried fast walking because you didn't like jogging, but you realize, hey, fast walking I can do. And it feels great afterwards, which helps the chemistry in the body. And that chemistry in the body also helps the soul to be able to speak with you a little bit more because there's greater harmony.
Yeah, or if you have some skills, some do-it-yourself skills, maybe you see a neighbor or an elderly person that needs help with their weeding, or you notice things that you can make a difference in others' lives just reaching out. And as you do that, not only are you gauging your left brain, right brain, you're being creative, but you're also connecting with someone that maybe is more lonely than you, more anxious than you, and they are so touched by your act of kindness, and everybody wins when there's an act of kindness. You start building these relationships with your neighbors, or maybe there's an old folks' home. These are people that often are very neglected, and they would love just coming and maybe leading them in a song night or painting, sculpture, or coloring. There's so many ways you can engage, are lonely, are needing connection, and you just never know what can happen and develop. There's always a reciprocal blessing when you reach out to others.
It's only sometimes by doing it that you realize it. Because we can sit here and say, these things, and you say, well, it sounds okay. But then when you start to engage in it, you realize, oh my gosh, this is quite nice, quite engaging. There's been a loneliness epidemic, and people are feeling isolated, and they're feeling as if they don't know how to reconnect, especially after the pandemic that we had a couple of years ago now. That disconnect is like, how do I reconnect? How do I not only reconnect in my interaction with other individuals, but how do I make sure I'm reconnecting with my soul? And what my soul is asking, who we were when we were in our teens, and what our soul needs in its adult years in terms of 40s or 50s or 30s or 20s can be different. And so it does think of aloneness in some ways at being at one with yourself. You're learning from yourself, learning to listen to yourself, learning to know that silence is not a bad silence. It's actually a good silence because it creates a space for, as you're trying to get attuned to your soul, for your soul to give you the impressions and promptings or intuition that allows you to say, oh, I never thought of it or saw it that way. Oh, I can do this to help this person. Or I can get involved in this association or group that may be of value, of help, because you looked at and assessed all the skills, talents, and gifts that you have, and then how you can give them. to others as a way of connecting and also adding value to their lives, which then adds value to your life.
Absolutely. And we don't think of volunteerism as a creative action, but you think about what you do. I get to the next 2 days, spend 4 hours down in the beautiful city of Charleston, South Carolina. As a street marshal, we've got homes. A lot of the beautiful homes are opened up for tours and tourists, and I'm going to wear a straw hat and wave people on to the next house and get to see all the azaleas are starting to bloom, all the beautiful red bud bushes and trees. It's just a beautiful time of year here in the low country. It's just donating some time to just enjoy your city, enjoy your place, and be a blessing to people. And it's a win-win. You do it. You've thought about it, and it just like Dr. Judith is saying, do it. We're giving you ideas, but you just don't know how good it's gonna make you feel. You'll sleep really good at night after you've been outside, enjoyed your parks or your place, and engaged with others. Some people love pets, and pets are a great way to reach out. They love volunteers to come and pet the pets or engage in some activity on and volunteer from. So there's so many ways to engage in our community, help you with your loneliness, help you with your creative brain function and get everything moving. It lifts your soul, not just your mind, but your soul. And that is what we're talking about, deep joy. How do we find our joy again? And we're going to do it by reaching out and making some little changes that can make a big difference.
And as you were sharing that, two things came to my mind. One was about nature, just being out in nature. If you're a gardener, for example, just gardening, and maybe you're not connected to other people, but you're connected to the earth and the plants. And you can find that as a point of peace and giving you great joy. And that's just as important because it allows you to get the intuition or have the quiet time before you get the promptings to tell you what else you need to do or how you can continue to grow as you're advancing on your spiritual path.
You know, another way is if you're a writer or you love storytelling or you love reading, they take volunteers to do story hours at libraries, at maybe churches that have children's church that you need opportunity to just read or to share stories with other people. It does connect us in the ways that we've missed so much of. So, unfortunately, and let libraries be open to some influences that maybe we don't want for our children. So go and be the difference you're looking for.
And that's very good. It's like, how can I be the difference to how move things forward in a positive and healthy and engaging way? Because you're always going to be around things that don't necessarily meet our needs or our value. How can we put forth those values that are important for those on the spiritual path? That's important because then you become the example. And people ask you, how did you do that? How did you get into that? And you maybe be able to change a person's life and look at creativity, the right, the left brain, how it functions to give that sense of whole brain and move, you and them forward. Because you may find that you're developing a budding friendship with the person that you thought you would never develop a friendship with.
True. And even multi-generational activities. I have a very young daughter-in-law who doesn't know how to sew. She doesn't know how to repair a button. She just was never taught. And there's so many opportunities. So those of you that are older and feel like, what do I have to give? You'd be surprised how many people need what you know how to do, whether it's knitting or weaving or sewing or cooking or like she said, gardening. There's so many ways that we can reach out to others and other generations through our church synagogues or our places of worship. We can find many generations, schools, libraries, all of these have opportunities. You could say, I'd like to do a sewing class. I have a sewing machine and some fabric, and maybe for $5 they can put towards the fabric or not. Maybe you're willing to donate the materials that it takes. So there's ways that we can connect if we want to. If we want to get out of maybe we're in a rut, maybe we've dug a ditch and we don't know how to get out of it. We need to get out of this place of inactivity, disconnect, loneliness, missing out on joy, and just take little steps at first. As she said, go outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, notice the flowers around, or go to a park if you don't have if you're in a place where there's not really good flowers where you are, and drive where you can find them, or take a bus, um, and see what there is to see this time of year. Sure.
And that means we have to change our mindset. Move from a mindset of being closed, this is just where I am, or I'm not going to be able to do any of those things, to a mindset that's more open, which is more right brain, that allows you to be able to say, it's worth the experiment. Why can't I try? Why can't I just do one small piece of something and see how it may help me to be able to say, oh, that wasn't so bad. So I'll try another piece and another piece and then another piece. And then before you know it, you're transforming yourself. You're transforming your mindset from that closed mindset to an open mindset. And you're finding that you're tying into something more of that joy and creativity and inspiration from your soul that you would not have otherwise.
That's good. You're not too old. And I can hear some people saying, oh, it's too late for me. It isn't. You're not too old. Grandma Moses was 78 when she became a famous artist in her old age. She had no lessons. She was a folk artist. She just told stories with pictures and became an extremely successful artist all the way into her 90s. So I'm saying it's not too late. You're not too old. It's in you. You can feel it stirring. Even as we're talking, you feel something stirring in your heart, in your soul, saying, yeah, I've always wanted to do this. I really wanted to take that back up. We have plenty of opportunities. I teach a weekly art class, and it's very, very, very inexpensive. And it's a great way to build your own skills and find joy, be creative, and connect with others, because it's a group class. And even though it's digital, it's still, you're looking at other people's smiling faces, and you're sharing together and giving accountability. For those of you crying out for help, crying out for more joy, saying, I don't know how to get past this loneliness, see an opportunity to reach out to others. And maybe the first step is to give something from you to someone else.
Well, research has shown that when people start giving something of themselves, that it automatically helps them go better and be more engaged, more connected. And so sometimes just getting over the hurdle, saying a lethargy, a hurdle, and just say, oh, I don't think so, not today. But in actuality, the mind has to be, why not today? I've got time, so why not? So let me get on the internet and figure out what's in my community that needs my services based on my talents, and start doing the research at least on it. And then that's one step. And then the next step is go and attend for a few hours. And then the next step is saying maybe you want to volunteer there now that you see what you see. So it's a process. You don't have to think you have to do it all at once, but be open to doing a small piece each and every day that allows you to move towards that degree of being more connected.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's so true. Little steps, get outside. That's a first step. Just enjoy and find joy in the little things. It works. It makes us a fuller, more complete, fulfilled person when we do these things. And that's why I love it. Art is self-therapy, wellness through creativity. It works. It's true. And even though my life is the right brain with arts and writing and acting, I love that it's available for everyone, not just the 2% adults that identify as artists, but we've been given half of our brain devoted to creativity, and it's for our good. And there's so many ways to engage it. So I encourage each one of your listeners to find a way today to engage left brain, right brain.
And I love what you just said there, because I think the only way that we start to switch is just doing it today. What do I need to do today that gets me a little bit closer to having a greater sense of wholeness, completeness, fulfillment, as you're mentioning? And I think sometimes people think, well, maybe not today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes. Well, maybe not tomorrow. I'll do it next week. And the next week comes. It's like, I still don't feel like it. Maybe next month. Maybe when the weather's better. Or when I have this or that. You start to go down that road, but you have to be the person to say no. I made a choice. I thought about it. I said I was going to do it. Now I'm going to do it. That becomes really important.
It's true. Go outside and just breathe. Just breathe. We have a lot of pollen in the air right now, but it's still wonderful. And it's a wonderful world. We're going to re-engage and take back our world, take back the thing you used to love and you can love again, or you just want to try to do it better. And those are opportunities that are available and they're good for you. They're good for your brain, your soul, your mind, your heart, and your spirit.
So we've been really talking about how to engage right and left brain activities to ignite the joy. How do we engage that? This is what we've been talking about in that whole brain sense of things, and realizing that you have to be the person to say, okay, I need to reflect. I need to think about what are those things I want to look as my talents that I want to give, and then help other people. And then you can reach out to other people and then start to go ahead and just do it. That allows you to really feel as if I'm taking back my world and not being passive, and that's what the soul wants you to do, not be passive. It's looking for you to actually engage and try things out. Just because it didn't work the first time or the second time or the third time, it doesn't mean you're not going to find something that will work for you. You just have to be, as Karen was saying, put one foot in front of the other. Let's keep on moving until you find that connection that really is like the wow factor for you.
And, as we've talked about before, what did you love when you were a child? Get back to what brought you joy when you were 5 and 6. Think back on any of the activities in your life that was there. Was it making up stories, dancing, spinning, coloring, singing, drumming? We already talked about how even singing in the shower ignites your left brain, right brain activity, gives you new neural pathways because it's our ability to solve problems that gets engaged when we are using our left brain and right brain together. They were made to work together, and that's our goal every day, to do something that engages the left brain, right brain. We'll get new ideas. It'll ignite our brain in new ways that maybe have been kind of sluggish in these last few years. And one of the ways is having a buddy that you can be accountable to. So how do you do it? You tell somebody, I want to start walking every day for 50. I want to get up to 20 minutes a day. Someone to say, all right, let's do it together. Or let's buy a couple of plants and do some planting of some flowers together. Having somebody to engage with does all of the things we're talking about. You can talk while you're planting seeds or whatever you're doing together. You can share what's going on with you and with them. You can get over some of these things that are hindering you. Think about it. What did you love? What did you know was you wanted in your future, and bring it back. Let it happen. Do it.
I think that's wonderfully said. What happens for individuals who didn't have a good childhood, who didn't really discover anything they liked? And in fact, the parents were so much into, you need to get the good grades. Whatever you do, you need to study, 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 get the good grades. So you never really tapped in, to the things that maybe you had an interest in. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I had that, and I think everyone has had somebody discourage them. You just can't sing. You can't carry a tune in a bucket, or you didn't color inside the lines and rip up your paper. You don't have rhythm. You have a brown thumb, not a green thumb. You burned the last time you cooked supper. The reality is our right brain is very sensitive and it gets hurt. It's okay to realize, you know what, I've got some wounds in this arena that I need to overcome. Or I wanted to dance, but they told me I was too chunky. Can't tell you how many times, because I was a tomboy, I was told I didn't have any grace, no coordination. And even as a gymnast, they said you'd have, when I finally my 40s had my daughter, we named her Grace, and I said, you can't call me Graceless anymore. We laugh about that, but the reality is, if you have some wounds, address them, acknowledge them. Forgive the person or persons who bullied you in that regard, even if it was a parent or a loved one or a peer. You say, I forgive them. They hurt me, and I really want healing from this wound so that I can engage in it again. And this is what we're trying to tell you. It's not too late to do it. We've all had wounds to overcome. Some people have had severe wounds, and maybe because of the severity of your childhood, you didn't get to engage in things, but it's in there. It's still there. It's still in your soul. It's part of who you were created to be. That creativity, half your brain is still available, and it's not too late. You know it's stirring. You can feel it stirring inside of you. It's real. Part of being human is being creative, and it sets us apart from AI. I don't care if it writes books, it can't replace the human soul. Your input, your voice is still uniquely yours, and it needs to be heard.
That was nicely said. I really like what you said about being human is being creative. And so sometimes we overlook the little things how we're being creative. And you say, no, I'm not creative. But you were able to pull together I don't know,
A
something.
meal. A
Yeah,
meal.
right.
Mhm.
Or
That's
write a poem. And they say, well, that's not creative. Well, yeah, it is. Or come up with a creative song that you sung in the shower. Well, that was just in the shower. But they're all elements of the creativity and the tying into your soul and your soul's joy. Because when you find that we sing in the showers, because there's something joyful that we're experiencing or we're feeling. We're not realizing it's related to our soul as well, and the sensitivity of our soul and the harmony that singing creates when we're singing a particular song, and our soul's aware of it because our soul goes wherever we go.
I have a newborn grandson, and I get to hold him every day. It's so fun because he can't tell me to stop singing. He seems to like my singing, and I make up little songs that have his name in it, and Liam, Jesus loves Liam, Liam. No, just talking and singing, and he just kind of blah, 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 back at me, and it's so much fun because this is in us. It's who we are. We love to sing and dance and play music and act out and have fun. Even Albert Einstein said that creativity is intelligence having fun, and that has been missing from our lives. It's been a serious, heavy season, and it's really important to engage that part of us to get rid of so much anxiety, get rid of so much stress, and engage in things that give us joy. It's good for us and good for others.
Wow, that was wonderfully said. And I can say nothing more to that other than he urge individuals listening to his podcast, go try something new, something different. Be reflective about some of the things that you didn't want to do in your childhood or you did do in your childhood. And how do you re-engage it in a different way in your adulthood? And be aware of the fact that your soul is always wanting you to engage with creativity and to engage with your inner self. And that's a powerful thing. It also strengthens your confidence and your ability to feel as if I've got more energy now than I would have ever had before. So, any last comment you want to make before we end our time today?
Well, I just say we're laying a lot of things out there. We're trying to encourage you to move forward in your life and in your creative life. Have grace for yourself. Have mercy for yourself. Be gentle and say, okay, I'm not going to say I've wasted 20 years or I wasted the last few years. No, move forward and say, okay, I can do something about today. I can forgive yesterday and I can have hope for tomorrow. But today I'm going to engage in something I've wanted to do. I've wanted to write a story. I've wanted to write a letter. I've wanted to there's a picture in my mind I just want to do. And it's not about how good it is, how bad it is. Just do it. We're saying today, just do it. 15, 20 minutes, just do something that gives you joy.
Great. Well, seekers, get out there and do some things or reflect a little bit more that allows you to know what you want to focus your attention on, but just do it. Enjoy. Let us know how you're doing with the things you're doing. You always can give us some comments below in the episode. Go ahead, try it. You may be amazed. You may be really surprised.
Any of you artists, anybody interested in painting and drawing or learning how to do that together, holding each other accountable, just making steps. Tuesdays, 7 p.m. on the East Coast, we're doing this and having so much fun. It's just a great way to re-spark the visual arts. Have fun. Do it with us.
And where can they reach you? Just remind them again, where can they contact you if they want to get engaged in the classes?
Yeah, Karen DeLoach Art at gmail.com. Easy peasy. Karen DeLoach Art at gmail.com. Just say, I'm interested, and I'll be happy to email you back some information. First time to join us is free for anybody, any age. We have all ages engaged. So join us.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, seekers and those listening, have fun, enjoy, knowing that your soul is being actively engaged and you're on your spiritual path. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me for this episode on Mastering Life's Adventures, being your best self through soul evolution. If you have enjoyed what you've heard today, I would be delighted if you would share this episode with others, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to my Mastering Life's Adventures podcast. Look forward to your joining the next episode. Please leave any comments or suggestions you might have below. Bye for now.